Wizards, welcome back. Today we're going to take a step away from the suppressor drama, thankfully, because it's starting to hurt my brain. And we're going to take a look at what I think is the most compact and versatile placard system that's on the market. I've also teased you with this placard system quite a bit on a few different plate care reviews that we've done, but I've never really dived into what makes it so special. And behind the scenes, I've actually been changing out the majority of my plate care placard systems into the one we have today. So in this video, we'll take a look at the all-new Micro Molle Placard V2 from Dynamic Principles and its family of expansion options to do just about anything. Oh, I'm also horrible about telling you guys about this, but I do it on almost every video. Down in the description, I put a link to the entire build to take out a lot of the guesswork if you want to get some of these pieces or if you like a specific setup. Plus, as always, you can use discount code TLDco over on the Dynamic Principles website to save a whole bunch. I've really been looking forward to showing you guys this placard and actually diving into it, because with the smart inserts and the compact design, there's just some really crazy stuff you can do. I'll show you guys all of it, but first, let's take a moment and thank today's sponsor so we can pay for buying those suppressors we lost again. Today's video is sponsored by Fatboy Tripods. In a world where you don't get to pick your terrain, the Fatboy Tripods offer you a solution for precision accuracy in any environment. The inverted legs of the Elevate tripod give you a massive speed advantage where you can loosen and lift to set your height. Then use the Levitate head to set tension adjustment with just a flick of a wrist to quickly line up that perfect shot. Fatboy tripods are just mastering accuracy literally anywhere. Of all the things that I use the most on the channel on all my range days, it's definitely the Fatboy tripods. Like, I'm using it right now. You guys just don't get to see it. Plus, I say this every time, I love how it pulls double duty with the arc ahead if I want to set up all my rifles and use it at the range. So if you want to pick up your own Fatboy tripods, make sure you use discount code TLDco over on the Fatboy website and save a whole ton on those also. So many thanks to Fatboy and all the love they give to our channel. Now we got to do the annoying part with my biases, but this one's going to be quick because I like Dynamic Principles. I think he's a good person, and he's the kind of guy I generally want to see succeed in life. I do consider him a friend, and I really, really like his gear. So I will say I am super, super biased. But even with that, I'm going to tell you to not take anything that I say, regardless of if I like it or if I don't. Don't take anything I say or anybody else says as gospel. Everyone is biased in some way. And if they're trying to sell you that they're not, they're probably lying to you. So make sure to do your own research so you can be the most educated consumer possible. For some other good second opinions, EOD Fish is an absolute legend and I love him. And Prepared Mindset Podcast has a great belt overview also. All right, so let's get started and answer what I think is the most important question. What is the Micro Molle V2 and why should you care with 800 billion other placards already out on the market? The Micro Molle V2 placard is designed to be a compact modular system that gives you a shorter overall magazine height for those assaulter roles needing faster magazine deployment, but still giving you those next generational features of tubes or whatever side connection you want, along with adjustable ride height. You can also tell that the initial design stage included both 5.56 and 308 because they have the Micro Molle and the Micro Molle wide, instead of what you see from some other companies where they just have like a 2-mag 308 insert that you put in the 5.56 pocket and then it just floats all around. Yeah, those things suck. We then have the big question of why, and I think this becomes more obvious as we start to look at it, because you have a placard like the Spittin' Raisins where, yeah, it's modular, but the features that are actually included are extremely, extremely dated. And then you have something like the Ferro placard where it has all the new features, has all the new coolness, but it's also not really modular at all. So Dynamic Principles' claim to fame with the Micro Molle V2 is that it blends that world of modularity and features, but all at a price tag of $45 to give you the same price range as like a Mark V placard, but with a ton more features. And I'll say there's some validity to their claims from my own range use and care reviews, where I've fallen in love with just this super clean system and the sheer range of different options the Micro Molle V2 offers you. Getting this thing on the table, we see our bare V2 placard. Starting first at the top, we see a section of adjustable loop to allow for that adjustable ride height. The GTSR buckles are included, but I swapped mine to G-hooks on this one for just a sleeker overall setup. I'll kind of say as a user guide for you, if you're going to swap placards a lot, I do think the GTSR or the Quasm buckles, whatever you call it, are the easier ones to use when you're swapping them a lot. But if not, I do think the actual G-hooks are lower profile, and I prefer those if you're going to kind of stay in one configuration all the time. Below that, we have a Molle field behind our mag pouches that aids in cable routing and expands the rear placard connection to a full 5-inch height. The 5-inch can be pivotal based on certain plate carriers. Some of them out there I've seen use like a 1-inch strip of loop. So when you have a 4-inch placard, you only get adhesion to just 2 of those bands. And having the 5-inch makes it a ton better and just more universal overall to different carriers on the market, and just gives you a more secure connection to everything. I'll show you this super cool placard in just a minute. But one thing I've also found is that the 5-inch placard, having that extra adhesion, helps a lot when you have a much heavier setup, like running 29 round 300 blackout mags. And sometimes you'll see that and they'll be all floppy all over, and having that additional adhesion and a clean setup like this just keeps everything compacted nice. You're gonna love this. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, 5-inch, way better. Now along the sides of our placard, we have slits for our connection system. Here I have the Tactics buckles, and you could swap out these for tubes or rock buckles or whatever. I like tubes, so I'll likely do that later on. The 5-inch height also means you can connect your QDs higher up the placard based on your body type. This is cool because some folks out there, based on their body type and their plates and everything else, can have issues where the front plate bag will sag down slowly over time, or if they're running around, it'll just immediately drop down. So what you can do is actually put your QDs higher on the placard. And by doing that, it's going to keep it in position better. So then if you're running around and moving, it's going to stay in place, not just sag down in front of you. And for those people with those body type issues, it is just, it's such a huge quality of life upgrade. I'm going to stop talking about why I care about being 5-inch. But having it be 5 inches tall also means there is a ton of adjustment in terms of height. If you are having that issue, or you just want to mess with it, you have a lot of different adjustments to play with to just get the whole thing completely perfect and stay in position all the time. It's awesome. For my Reddit guys out there, you can also connect in Quasm buckles directly in the top and bottom to integrate the entire system straight into a chest rig. I think I want to play with this too, because you have your top buckle here and then your bottom buckle here for your chest rig. But then that also means you have room here with this side adjustment where you could still connect in like a rear pack, like a Shaw PCP or a recondite pack or something like that from Defense Mechanisms, to then give you a full chest rig setup, but then also have a cool rear pack setup and everything secured nicely. So you can do all that with just the side adjustment. So there's a lot of connection options, and along the sides, there's also an elastic section for chem lights, pens, or even small pry tools. Depending on the role and what you're doing, having a pen will likely be insanely useful. Depending on the configuration you do, you can also lay the elastic down so it's out of the way. Like you may want to connect in tool or mag pouches along the side of the Molle here instead. Now the Molle also goes all the way around the front of the placard and along the bottom, meaning you have a ton of expansion, and you can add in an elastic tourniquet holder like we did on this more minimalistic setup. I've seen a few placards recently that have this type of thing, like an elastic holder along the bottom, but it's sewn in. And I'm going to tell you, as someone who sees a lot of gear and has a lot of equipment and gets to look at it all, that is super, super dumb. Elastic has the shortest life of all the materials you're going to see on any plate here. It doesn't matter at all. So by having that sewn in, that elastic is 100% going to wear, and you're eventually going to just have to cut it off. There's no real way around it, and there's reasons why you shouldn't design that way, particularly for the elastic life being so short. So I really like that I can change things out, and if this tourniquet were to get worn, I can just buy another one for a couple bucks and then change it out and not have to get a whole new setup. That would be horrible, particularly if it's some weird Instagram setup that's already hard to get. That would make me super angry. Now, moving on to the inserts, we see some really, really smart stuff. Instead of just elastic piss water sewn together, Dynamic Principles uses laminate to reinforce the shape and provide the whole structure to it, with the elastic along the sides providing the retention. So with the laminate reinforcement, what happens is it actually keeps some of the shape of the actual mag and everything, so it makes it much easier to reinsert your mag if you have a partial mag or a spent mag and you just want to retain it. And you don't want to punch yourself in the face every time you try and use that like you do with the standard elastic mag pouches. I swear those are designed by some brain-dead third grader. Now, can you use the god-awful inserts in this? Yes. Should you do that? No. Those are absolute butt water. And anytime I see those elastic inserts, I immediately just sigh and I'm just like, oh God, it just looks frustrating. But these inserts are really, really good. And I use them in just about everything now, and I've even found I like them more than my previous favorite of the Shaw ones. They're also inexpensive, so you could get a bunch of different inserts and just swap them out on your placard to save some money that way. Is it an absolute pain to swap them out? Yes, it is, and you're going to swear a whole lot, so it may be worthwhile to just buy another $45 placard if you're changing your setups all the time. But I think that's a good segue. Let me show you some different configurations that we've come up with that I think are pretty good to show up just how wild this Micro Molle placard system really is. Sorry, I forgot which one we were grabbing. So for the first one, we have a cool one with a more recon and long-range focus. Here's our Recce setup in M81. It's a concise package holding a lot of .308 ammunition, and it's more designed around using a semi-automatic system. If you wanted to make this Recce setup, it uses a Micro Molle wide and a 3-mag .308 insert with bungees for added retention. Along the front, we've also attached our Juggernaut mount and phone for team communication and position via ATAC. Juggernaut's not the best, I'd probably use SNS. Then we have a single .308 pimps pouch to bring our total loadout on the placard to 4. Along the sides, we also have 2 pimps tourniquets and a micro dangler in M81 for medical or whatever random supplies you want to put in here. In this type of setup, I would probably also load up my cummerbund with some larger pouches to do like binos and rangefinders, along with getting a rear pack for, this would be pretty cool, to load up and use a drone for this type of setup also. The Quadtech system guys do some cool setups where you can integrate first-person drone setups into your helmet also. And then if you pair this whole setup with the Bees Cobra hood, the neighbors will start being far more friendly than they've ever been.
Oh, hey Mo.
I mean, this is cool and all, but what if we flip this over into a more realistic setup and kind of give more of a head nod to our law enforcement and police officers out there? Here we have our patrol placard that helps to organize critical gear into a much smaller package and get that equipment off your belt while still allowing for quick access to your tourniquet. For the patrol setup, we use a standard Micro Molle V2 in black, but with the 1-2-1 insert to allow us to place in a flashlight, radio, mag, and multi-tool. Along the elastic sides, we added in a writing tool and a chem light with the pimp small cuff pouch along the front and small admin pouch. You could also use this front admin pouch to store a second set of cuffs. Yeah, why they gave me 2 sets of cuffs, I don't think the world knows why I have these. One thing you could also do is replace this front cuff pouch, just use the admin pouch for your standard cuffs, and put your body cam here. That's one option. Another setup Dynamic Principles mentioned you could do in this setup is using a Mark III pouch and use like pepper spray to give you another non-lethal option for our patrol officers also. Now, I'll say this, I'm not a cop. I do see them obviously out in public, and this just seems a whole ton smarter and cleaner than the droopy garbage that they have. I always see them with ridiculous Amazon gear and everything's just floppy all over. I just want you guys to know out there, there are some good gear options you guys can use and you're not stuck with that trash. Go to Dynamic Principles, get better stuff. Now though, what if, we take practical, we throw practical to the side again. What if we wanted to do some absolutely ridiculous stuff? Here's our far more intense assaulter and breacher setup. This is configured for doing dynamic entry, and this person would be responsible for mechanical breaching with a shotgun. At the base of this setup is the standard Micro Molle V2 in Ranger Green, along with the 5-mag SMG insert. Here I put in 3 SMG mags from our Strybog that I love, and a flashlight and multi-tool to show you some options. Now, do you have to use SMG mag inserts? No, I'm just showing you what's possible. You guys can use 308 mag inserts here if you want to. I don't care. Now, if you want to recreate this, we used 3 Pimps loop adapters to add in our 3 shotgun cards for a total of 15 rounds of breaching ammunition. I don't know this because I don't do breaching, but Dynamic Principles did let me know that breaching shotguns generally have less ammunition in them, so it can be far more efficient to be able to reload those because they only have like 1 or 2 rounds. So it's a lot faster to be able to access those rounds when it's on the front of your kit to make breaching and clearing a lot faster. It was a little redundant. It's all right. I was also told to expect some brain rot in the comments of someone being like, oh, nobody needs 15 breaching shotgun rounds. But that's not actually true. Where you have situations like schools or malls or other places with a whole lot of doors and a lot of different smaller rooms, you could find yourself needing a lot of ammo to clear a lot of doors quickly. So I think it is smarter to have more and not need it than to just carry around like 4. And it just looks super cool. As our last bits here is our SOCP dagger to create space if needed with a threat, along with 2 self-accessible flashbangs on our Pimp's bang pouches. Now, if you're actually in this role, you'd also have some additional bangs on the rear of your plate here, but having this setup also gives you 2 that are self-accessible if you need to clear breaching rooms by yourself. I think that would be fairly horrible, and no one on the team or Dynamic Principles would give me real flashbangs. These are Amazon specials. I do think this assaulter preacher placard is just a little bit intense. I'll just tell you, just don't be a door if you see me coming with this thing on. Now I have one more and everybody wants it to be 2001 again. So you can also do a more standard Rifleman placard with 6 mags and a tourniquet, but all done in that far more sleeker configuration that I mentioned earlier. I don't know if 6 mags makes sense from a civilian perspective. Like, that's how we look at things. I don't know if this is all that practical, but hey, it is super compact and it's not all dangly trash, so I will give it that. I mean, we all know 20 mags is the correct number you should have. God, that guy would go on and on about carrying 20 mags. He was super weird. Anyway, let's get into some pros and cons, and I'm gonna tell you the main one that I've been geeking out about over all the different setups is more of kind of a secondary or tertiary one. It's just that every single setup we've shown is just clean. From the patrol to the assaulter to our Reddit Recce boys, all our configurations look like they were designed that way from the start. No extra gaps or slop all over. From one setup to the next, everything is slim, neat, and efficient. To me, as a person who, does editing and does videos and does all this production, it shows a foresight by the production in making these, where somebody created a product, stepped back from it and said, no, this isn't good enough. We have to redo it and we have to make it better. And they kept that refining process until they really absolutely nailed it. I mean, on the other side of the coin, you could just sell a pocket with 50 holes on the top and call it version 5. Not bad. Okay, I am really, really enjoying this video. The other one I really, really think is a huge pro is just the insane expansion this thing has. The Micro Molle V2 can be ran slick to give a budget-friendly, low-profile setup, but you can also scale it as your mission sets change, all the way to very, very specific mission requirements. I mean, hell, okay, we'll do this Recce one again. I mean, hell, the whole thing can also be changed into a chest rig if you want to do that. It's just really smart and really well done. And it still has all those next-gen features if you wanted tubes, modular bits, all the different ride height, all that stuff. It's got it all. Now, I will say, we'll be fair here. Everything good should also have a con. So it is a good bit more difficult to put all this together in terms of time. Like if you're trying to put all the pieces together, it's going to take you a little bit to do that. And it can be quite difficult to understand exactly what pieces you need. Like I went over it a little bit, but some of that's not necessarily super intuitive to know what you need to make some of these more complicated setups. Just know that swapping from one whole mission-specific role to another on the same placard would take a while, and I do recommend just getting different placards if your role changes dramatically. And I myself did have to study up a good bit on how these placards were put together and what different bits they're actually using to make all this possible. One good thing, though, is Dynamic Principles is updating their website to have a builder. So hopefully in the future, but I didn't let the cat out of the bag, but hopefully in the future, we'll have a system where you can go on there and actually put all these things together and build your actual placard, and it'll show you all the bits you need. But until then, ask Dynamic Principles, ask me, we'll help you build some of these, or we'll just ask Dynamic Principles how you do it. Because yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to know these 4 builds. Other than that, I don't know anything. But going. Okay. I do think that seeing some of these more ridiculous setups really helps, to spur up the imagination and think through how you would put this together and what you would want to have on your setup. Me just seeing them, looking at it, I was like, oh, okay, I know what I want to do now that I know what options are available. So hopefully this helped you also seeing a bunch of different options and kind of made you think through what placard setup you would do. And as I said at the start, I'll put a link down at the bottom of this video to all these different builds and all the pieces that were included in each one of them, so that you can just follow that and take out some of the guesswork and everything also. And as I mentioned at the beginning, you can also use discount code TLDco to save on all the different parts. Now though, let's move into the last bit. It's going to be a super big mystery. What are my thoughts and recommendations on the Dynamic Principles Micro Molle V2? I really felt like the Micro Molle V2 nailed modularity and function to bring you a system that, just look at it, stands above the rest, with the expansion to do literally anything you want to do while keeping the whole system efficient and compact. I really do think Dynamic Principles outdid themselves, and yes, I'm extremely biased, but I'm also extremely impressed. Like I said at the beginning, you guys don't get to see all the stuff behind the scenes, but I have been running the Micro Molle V2 placards almost exclusively, besides maybe like the Agilite pincer, or there's some super cool stuff we've been testing also. But outside of things we're testing on purpose for content, like these are the placards that I choose to run when I just get to pick to use whatever gear I want to use. I mean, there's no dumb dangly bits. It's very compliant. It's all American made, and it has a price tag that isn't insane, and no stupid product drops or Instagram garbage. It's like all the great things in the world in one placard. Plus, you can use our discount code to save even more. Now, though, wouldn't it be interesting if Dynamic Principles took those same core concepts that made this Micro Molle placard of the modularity and the next-gen features and applied that to chest rigs to bring that design into this century? Stay tuned as we find out and we take a look at their chest rig system and how it uses smart integration into a plate carrier. Hopefully then we can integrate it all in, and we can let the whole floppy chest rigs that people are putting over slick plate carriers, that whole thing just die off, because it's not 1986 anymore. If you can't tell, I'm pretty excited about that. But I hope this video on the Dynamic Principles Micro Molle V2 placard was helpful in your purchasing decisions. I want to say thanks to all of our Patreon supporters. You guys make it possible I can share all this, and we can just talk with an unfiltered voice because of your support. And I love all you guys in Discord and all the drama and chaos we cause. Josh, you in particular, I love you. He's our HR department, if you guys didn't know. And I want to say thanks to everyone that likes, comments, and almost every time. And I want to say thanks to everyone that likes, comments, and subscribes. Comment down below what you think about this placard and what's one you think could beat it. I want to put up against it and find out. All right, everyone, Walsh out. You know what I'm wondering? Can you put more of these pimps pouches on the front so you could do like 4 or 5 rows of 3 mags? Hey, Dynamic Principles, we got to flesh this thing out. Yeah, this was great. Did you notice this too? They're actually staggered in terms of height. So your front mags are a little bit lower than the rear one. So this whole thing is just super smart. I love what they did. I love the people over there. What are we working on next? I don't even know. Oh, I got some cool stuff from Griffin. We got to show you guys at the actual SHOT Show. We have their 9mm PCC. So we're going to be testing that out. There may be some updates on the suppressor drama. We're trying to see, a bunch of people, seems like they have made some sort of headway with the FFL. Maybe those cans are still there. Why he would do nothing with them for 4 months and then just give them to me, that's a sweet mystery. Maybe we can solve that too. All right, I gotta go. Hope this video was good for you guys. Later.
every time. You gotta have to, not even turn it on, cool guy light. You gotta, oh my God. All right, we gotta start over from the beginning. Let's just start up this sucker.